platform now that Caitlyn will have coming into the professional ranks. So it's really a great time to be in basketball.
Caitlyn Clark is clearly a catalyst for a business that was, and let's be honest, Caitlyn to some degree financially saved the WNBA. It was hemorrhaging money for years.
Build, you have to scale, and ultimately expansion had always been on my list. But we didn't want to rush into it because we wanted new owners, like new ownership groups. Anyone who knows sports here knows like it's a slog to be a sports owner.
What would you do to stop your most valuable asset from jumping ship to a competitor? Well, the WNBA just showed the world its answer to that question. Just hours ago, Caitlyn Clark, a name now synonymous with basketball excellence, made waves around the globe.
Hi, Caitlyn.
Hey, what's up, Caitlyn?
Yo, what's up, Caitlyn?
Hey, Caitlyn.
Hey, Caitlyn.
Famous for her incredible shooting range and intense competitiveness, Clark was anticipated to take the WNBA to new levels after being drafted by the Indiana Fever.
The Indiana Fever select Caitlyn Clark, University of Iowa.
However, recent rumors indicate that Clark may choose to skip the WNBA and head to Europe for the attractive contracts available there. In response, the WNBA is ready to make an unprecedented offer, an ownership stake in the Indiana Fever to ensure Caitlyn Clark stays in the U.S. Her arrival in the WNBA was poised to be a game changer.
Looked up how much the tickets are going for. I kind of cut that price in half.
Sites like SeatGeek are charging hundreds and thousands for a seat at Barber Hawkeye. She says the attention for the sport has grown a lot in the 15 years she's been a super fan.
After an outstanding college career in which she broke records and attracted millions of viewers, the WNBA viewed Clark as their golden ticket. Her talent for drawing crowds, boosting TV ratings, and increasing attendance to unprecedented levels made her the most anticipated rookie in recent WNBA history. The Indiana Fever, who had struggled with both attendance and performance, saw a significant rise in their numbers after drafting Clark.
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history.
Many believe she has the potential to transform the franchise single-handedly. Her knack for attracting fans wasn't just a guess. During her college years, Clark's games ranked among the most viewed in women's basketball history. In her rookie season, attendance for the Indiana Fever nearly quadrupled. Her games turned into must-watch events, contributing to one of the WNBA's best seasons ever in terms of TV ratings. For the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark wasn't merely a player, she represented a bright future for the league.
Caitlyn Clark is clearly a catalyst for a business that was, and let's be honest, Caitlyn to some degree financially saved the WNBA. It was hemorrhaging money for years.
While her WNBA debut was thrilling, Caitlyn Clark was also being pursued by European teams with enticing offers. Europe, known for drawing top WNBA talent with its higher salaries and competitive environment, presented a significant temptation. Players like Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi have openly talked about how playing in Europe offered them financial stability.
Yeah. Like there's that 4-year period where you need to grow as a person, but then the NIL comes into play.
Caitlyn Clark's transition from the US to Europe is creating quite a buzz in the basketball world. Her choice to sign a lifetime contract with a European club has fans curious about what motivated such a bold decision, especially after her impressive rookie season. From deep three-pointers to record-breaking assists, Caitlyn quickly emerged as a star in the WNBA. However, her journey in the league wasn't as smooth as it seemed. In interviews, Clark opened up about the challenges she faced both on and off the court. One of the toughest parts of her life as a professional athlete was the pressure to always be on. She mentioned that there are days when she simply doesn't want to engage with anyone. When someone comes up to you, that's their 10-second interaction with you, so you smile and try to be kind. But sometimes you just want to be normal, she shared. Caitlyn's rookie season was physically demanding. She faced aggressive defense and often felt like she was targeted by opponents pushing the limits of fair play. Hard fouls and elbows became all too common, yet she kept her composure, accumulating assists and points while setting records despite the relentless pressure. Additionally, As a young white player in a predominantly black league, Clark encountered subtle but uncomfortable moments from both fans and fellow players. These factors weighed heavily on her and played a role in her decision to seek new opportunities overseas. In Europe, she saw not only a fresh start, but also a chance for personal and professional growth. Playing in a different league would provide new challenges without the constant scrutiny she experienced in the US media. While some critics argue that Clark's move might be premature, others view it as a calculated decision to prioritize her passion for the game without the distractions she faced at home. As Caitlyn embarks on this new chapter, she leaves behind a complex legacy in the WNBA. Her talent and determination are undeniable. What are your thoughts? Caitlyn Clark recently shared some footage of her training in Europe, and it's everything we've been looking for. This serves as the ultimate evidence of how a truly respectable league treats its star players.
No matter how the cachet of the WNBA elevates, remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up. You messed it up.
You can truly see the joy on Clark's face. She looks free, incredibly happy, and completely unbothered. Those days of putting up with cheap shots, dirty hits, and all that nonsense are behind her. There's no one poking her in the eye or hip-checking her into the stands.
So now give me the reasons why. She's gone.
And here's the best part. There's no racial tension or scheming against the league's top talent in Europe. The players focus on their game, and Clark can finally concentrate on what she does best, dominating on the court. The contrast is clear, and it's no surprise she's thriving in a league that truly knows how to honor greatness.
I have honestly never seen a company fumble the bag so hard like the WNBA fumbled Caitlyn Clark.
She's playing as if she's finally free from all the nonsense, free from cheap shots, and definitely free from the relentless negativity she faced in the WNBA. It feels like a completely new Caitlyn Clark, and she's clearly enjoying every moment. She's smiling, sinking threes like they're layups, and making no-look passes as if it's just another day in the park.
I think it's a good number. Threes were a little bit, I wouldn't say lower. I'll still take 63, but I want to be more so around 70 if I can. Yeah. 81 mid-range is really, really good.
There's no fear, no hesitation, and no worrying about getting smacked in the face or having someone try to take her out. In Europe, they truly appreciate talent. They love and celebrate her. She's not dodging elbows or dealing with dirty looks anymore. Finally, she's being treated like the superstar she is. It's as if she's escaped a nightmare and landed in a place where basketball is celebrated.
And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps.
You know who's really losing it? The WNBA. That's right. The league that thought they could just sit back and let Caitlyn Clark get poked in the eye, body checked and disrespected day after day. Now they're complaining about losing their star, but let's be honest, it's their own fault. They made it unbearable for her. How many times did we watch Clark take a cheap shot while the referees stood by without taking action? And what did the WNBA do about it? Nothing. They allowed it to happen repeatedly.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome.
Here's the thing. In Europe, they don't have that kind of drama. No Chennedy Carter blindsiding her, no Dejonai Carrington going for her eye. No one is trying to take her down just because she's different. She's not facing players who resent her simply because she's a straight white girl excelling in their league. Over there, it's all about basketball. It's pure, it's clean, and it's a genuine league that respects the game, honors talent, and of course, treats Clark like the superstar Caitlyn Clark presented in Europe after record-breaking WNBA season.
From the sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season. The commissioner told her that she could make $700,000 playing in the WNBA.
The EuroLeague just made it official. Caitlyn Clark is heading overseas, and now the WNBA is buzzing over the contract details. It's clear that while Clark is about to make waves in Europe, Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA execs are probably sweating it out. Without Clark, they're likely heading back to that familiar spot of irrelevance they were stuck in before she came along and gave people a reason to tune in. Let's be honest, most are only watching because of Caitlyn Clark, and once she's gone, it's hard to see anyone sticking around for those average teams.
Now, I feel like there could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlyn Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big Three. So the money is there, and if these owners are smart with it, I could definitely see more WNBA players going overseas.
The WNBA pretty much shot themselves in the foot with a series of bad decisions and some race-baiting drama that cost them their star player. They lost their golden opportunity. But let's not dwell on their mistakes. Caitlyn Clark's new adventure is where the real excitement lies now.
Going overseas and possibly not returning.
I totally understand that some of you hardcore Caitlyn Clark fans in America might be feeling a little down about her moving to Europe. But let's face it, you want her to be happy, right? That's why you're staying quiet about it. Deep down, as long as Clark is doing well, you're okay with it. And don't worry, Clark cares about you just as much. In fact, I have a little surprise from her that's going to make you really happy. So stick around for that. For now, let's dive into what's really happening with this EuroLeague deal.
Unfair what the players are paid.
So, the big boss of EuroLeague women has finally put all the speculation to rest. Caitlyn Clark is officially getting ready to head to Europe. And no, this isn't just a temporary gig while the WNBA takes a short break. This is a major move. We're talking about EuroLeague Women, which is technically the top competition for women's basketball in Europe. Yet somehow, it still doesn't get the recognition it deserves. It's like this hidden gem in the basketball world, and people are still overlooking it.
If you look at his rookie salary, which was around $55 million for 4 years, and then you look at Caitlyn Clark's $300 and I think it was $38,000 salary that she signed for 4 years, that is about the same amount more. It's around 162 times more that Victor made.
For those who may not be aware, EuroLeague Women is managed by FIBA Europe, and believe me, it's where some of the most intense basketball takes place. This isn't just a casual summer league. The EuroLeague runs from October to April. That's ideal for Clark to keep her basketball skills sharp throughout the year. She's really positioning herself to excel on both sides of the Atlantic. It's like she's playing chess while everyone else is still figuring out checkers.
They always sold out. Unbelievable. So Atlanta would normally have 3,000, 4,000 people. Now they have 17,000 people, and they sold 1,000 standing room only tickets. So when we walked into the arena, people were on that third balcony looking down at the tops of our players' heads to watch. It's really hard to take in.
And here's something interesting. EuroLeague Women has been around since 1958. That's right, longer than most of us have been alive. It's like the original league for women's basketball, even getting a rebranding in the 90s. Yet, for some reason, it hasn't achieved the same commercial success as the WNBA. But don't be fooled. This league is serious business. It has stood the test of time for a reason, and his home, Angel Reese, reveals the real reason behind Caitlyn Clark's move to Europe. Angel Reese shuts down rumors, says Caitlyn Clark's exit is a financial move. Angel Reese couldn't resist weighing in on Caitlyn Clark's new European contract. Instead of letting it slide, she stepped in to set the record straight.
What the is that headline all about?
Yeah.
She is the worst basketball player.
In the WNBA, this is pretty unprecedented. Someone so set on stirring the pot. Reese, still tangled up in her own steroid controversy, took a jab at Clark, suggesting players are just in it for the money and using racial issues to gain sympathy.
People talk about Caitlyn getting hate, but someone sat down and spent hours putting together an 8-minute video with interlude clips all to trash Angel. Why?
It's obvious Reese is targeting Clark here. The surprising part, is that Caitlyn has never said anything negative about Reese or any other black player. But today, I can't help but feel that some people don't really deserve the silent treatment.
Blah, blah, blah. From Angel Reese.
It's pretty clear that Caitlyn Clark heading to Europe isn't just about exploring a new scene or picking up a different paycheck. It's more about escaping the toxic circus the WNBA has turned into. On the surface, the WNBA might seem like the perfect fit for a player like her, someone born to dominate. But in reality, it was becoming anything but ideal. Instead of just focusing on her game, she was constantly dodging scandals and skeptical looks like it was all part of the game plan.
Entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is, you get what you put in, and right now, you are getting exactly what you deserve.
And why? Because she chose to stay quiet while others tried to paint her as some kind of villain. Some of her own fellow athletes, along with a few media voices, went as far as to label her a racist. Honestly, where do they come up with this stuff? But Clark, always level-headed, didn't take the bait. She didn't waste her time responding to these absurd accusations. She just stayed focused on what really matters, basketball. Yet the drama surrounding her only kept growing, like a bad reality show storyline.
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans.
Then Alyssa Thomas, clearly not interested in keeping the peace, decided to stir things up even more. She publicly blamed Clark for racist comments made by her fans. Yes, you read that correctly. Thomas somehow figured that Clark should be responsible for the words of random people in the stands.
I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Ridiculous, right? This wasn't even about anything Clark did or said. Nope, Thomas seemed more interested in redirecting attention away from her own struggles. She bundled up her frustrations, jealousy, and whatever else was going on inside, wrapped it in an accusation, and tossed it right at Clark.
And then she had a press conference where she cried and everybody's so mean to me. Well, she's continued the stupidity. I mean, she cheered on her teammate as she shoved Caitlyn Clark, knocked Caitlyn Clark in the head, and a bunch of other stupid stuff.
The thing is, Caitlyn didn't have to do anything wrong to end up as a target. The love she was getting from fans, her name popping up in every highlight reel and headline, that alone was enough to spark jealousy in the WNBA. And it wasn't just random trolls online, it was some of the very players she shared the court with. Instead of celebrating her, Caitlyn Clark's reaction to Sabrina Ionescu's game-winning shot in the WNBA Finals was anything but chill. Sabrina's three-pointer gave the Liberty a huge 80-77 win, and while the world was hyped, Caitlyn was visibly frustrated. Her season ended way earlier, and seeing her biggest rival take over in the spotlight hit different. Caitlyn's always been that player everyone watches, but this time, it's Sabrina stealing the show, and you could sense that jealousy. The rivalry between these two has been bubbling under the surface for a while, but this game just cranked up the tension. Caitlyn came into the league with the hype, the fan base, and the expectation to dominate. Sabrina, however, has been quietly making her case, and now she's got everyone's attention. For Caitlyn, sitting on the sidelines while Sabrina hits clutch shots and leads her team is a tough pill to swallow. Post-game, Caitlyn didn't exactly hide how she felt. In interviews, she brushed off Sabrina's performance, calling the game winner just one shot, which only made it clear how much that moment bothered her. The jealousy was right there for everyone to see. Caitlyn's used to being the star, and seeing Sabrina take her spot as the WNBA's current queen? Yeah, that's not sitting well at all. This isn't just about Sabrina's one play though. The rivalry between these two runs deep, going back to their college days when both were dominating the game. Now, as pros, it's become a battle for the top spot. Caitlyn had the spotlight coming into the league, but Sabrina is stealing the shine when it counts. That game winner wasn't just a clutch moment, it was a power move, showing that Sabrina can take over when it matters most. Caitlyn's frustration is understandable. She's a competitor to her core, and seeing her biggest rival have her moment while she watches from the sidelines, that's fuel for the fire. But you can tell she's struggling with the fact that right now, the spotlight is firmly on Sabrina. That frustration and envy are driving Caitlyn, and the tension between them is only getting thicker. Sabrina, on the other hand, is living for these moments. Her ability to deliver under pressure is what's setting her apart right now. Even though she struggled earlier in the game, finishing with just 13 points, she hit the shot that mattered most. And that's the kind of thing that elevates a player from good to legendary. While Caitlyn watches, Sabrina's out there writing her own story, and you know that's eating Caitlyn alive. Next season, this rivalry is going to reach another level. Caitlyn's not going to let Sabrina keep this momentum without a fight. You can bet she's using all this jealousy and frustration as motivation to come back stronger. The next time they meet on the court, it's going to be electric. The tension is there, the stakes are higher, and Caitlyn's got something to prove. But right now, this is Sabrina's moment. She's earned the spotlight with that game winner. And for now, she's the one everyone's talking about. Caitlyn, on the other hand, is left stewing in the envy, knowing she'll have to wait for her chance to take back the crown. This rivalry is only getting started, and the next chapter is going to be must-watch basketball. The battle for the WNBA, the portrayal of black women in the league, is an ongoing conversation. Many, including Aja Wilson, Angel Reese, Cheryl Swoops, and others, seem to view Caitlyn Clark as a major issue in the WNBA, at least according to the league discussions. But is this truly the case? Or could it be more about rivalry and resentment? Some recent developments might make us rethink the situation. Last week, Aja Wilson brought up the topic of white privilege while speaking with Kelsey Plum. Now, Wilson and Angel Reese are both featured on the cover of the Wall Street Journal's magazine. Yet surprisingly, there's no mention of Caitlyn Clark. In 2024, with all that's happening, isn't it worth exploring this from Caitlyn Clark's perspective too? Imagine this. Even if you're the first rookie since 2008 to make the WNBA's first team, break over 50 records in one season, and win Rookie of the Year, you're still not acknowledged in one of the league's largest media spreads to date. This seems puzzling, especially if Clark's success is arguably central to the article's theme. The situation is further complicated by online tensions. Caitlyn Clark is often cast in a negative light, made to seem difficult and unlikable, even while dealing with online harassment from an account managed by Aja Wilson's friend. And yet, both Wilson and Reese continue to fuel controversy, even accusing each other of unfair treatment and, at times, directing this frustration toward Caitlyn Clark. This leaves us wondering, is this really the behavior we expect from an MVP or Rookie of the Year? This situation honestly feels like a case of bullying. It's the peak of first world issues, showing a lack of responsibility and, frankly, Angel Reese's lack of consideration. Watching this unfold is mind-boggling. You're right, it's easy to see how she comes across if you have even a bit of self-awareness. Honestly, if I were another WNBA player without Caitlyn Clark's visibility, she wouldn't be my concern. She isn't the problem here. More people are starting to catch on. Caitlyn Clark was never the issue. Her critics were the ones using her name for attention whenever things didn't go their way. Those same athletes, analysts, and experts quickly make noise when they feel slighted, then claim Caitlyn Clark is the root of it all. But here's the truth. The issue might actually be Angel and Aja, not Caitlyn. It's worth asking, who's really harming the league's reputation? Angel Reese or Caitlyn Clark? Because, once again, it's Reese's unlikability that seems to be hurting the league's image. Caitlyn, on the other hand, is generally well-liked and doesn't flaunt privilege or entitlement as if she's something special. People from all backgrounds are beginning to notice this. You made a great point. Caitlyn Clark is helping drive the league's success and bring in money, while Angel Reese's behavior might be doing the opposite. The WNBA doesn't seem to be catching on, but the fans certainly are. Yet, we're still being told to embrace both Angel and Aja as league icons. But do they even realize who they're trying to promote? I get it. Aja Wilson is undoubtedly one of the greatest players, a true icon who will likely be in the Hall of Fame. Her stats alone speak to her greatness, and that's worthy of respect. But as I look deeper into this and see more of her behavior, I can't ignore a hard truth. She's becoming more and more unlikable.
We also have talked, even on this channel, about Angel's very dramatic response to that. Angel Reese started with, "I'm heartbroken. I'm literally lost for words, knowing what this woman meant to me in such a pivotal point in my life. She was the only person," which is interesting since she's been coached before.
It's pretty wild that even after facing a lawsuit over steroid allegations, Angel Reese still has the audacity to keep making headlines with her outrageous comments. And this time, she's taking shots at none other than her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon. If betrayal had a face, it would definitely look like Teresa's right now.
And unfortunately, it seems like, according to some new reports, that relationship cost her her job.
Chicago Sky officials are saying Teresa was suspended because the team's performance wasn't up to par. But wait a second, Angel is out here dropping some serious tea, claiming that's not the full story.
Point being, she disrespected the official. That was the official response to this.
So why is Angel doing this? Are her claims actually legit? Or is this just another dramatic turn in the ongoing Angel Reese saga? Let's break it down from the beginning because things are getting messy. Ever since then, the internet has been blowing up, and it's all because of Angel Reese.
Now you have a rivalry here. Angel Reese wants to be Draymond Green, but there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA, may not care about basketball.
Once hyped as the next big star in the WNBA, Angel is now caught in the middle of a scandal so wild, it's shaking up the entire league. After months of rumors, the truth finally came to light. Reese allegedly turned to performance-enhancing drugs in a desperate attempt to stay relevant. When you can't keep up with the talent in the league, what do? Yeah, apparently, you turn to steroids to close that gap.
Angel Reese is the villain, Caitlyn Clark is the hero, and Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected, and it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's two of us that changed the game of women's basketball, and it's not just Caitlyn Clark. I was a part of that 2 years ago in the national championship game, and it's going to continue to be that way from here on out. I kind of love it. I don't agree with her. It's way more Caitlyn Clark than it is Angel Reese.
Then, boom, news breaks that Reese tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and the entire WNBA world went into a frenzy. The Chicago Sky, her team at the time, didn't waste a second suspending her while they launched an investigation. But honestly, we all knew where this was going.
Her job. And I don't doubt it, because anybody who's watching could see that what was going on with Chicago and with Angel Reese and the double-double streak and all that stuff wasn't good for Angel, wasn't good for the rest of the team, wasn't good for the whole organization.
The moment those test results came back, Reese's career nosedived faster than her fourth quarter shooting percentage. Her public image was already hanging by a thread, but this, it completely shattered it. The Sky cut her loose, and fans, the league, everyone were left stunned, picking their jaws up off the floor.
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlyn Clark, not Angel Reese.
The drugs Reese allegedly used weren't your everyday vitamins. Nope, she supposedly went for EPO, or erythropoietin, a powerful performance enhancer that boosts stamina and endurance by increasing red blood cell production. It's the kind of stuff cyclists and marathon runners use to push their bodies to superhuman levels. On top of that, she reportedly dabbled in anabolic steroids, which help build muscle faster than you can say bad decision. Both of these substances are strictly banned under WADA regulations, and the WNBA, they don't mess around with this kind of thing. Athletes caught using these banned substances usually face a harsh reality: suspensions, public humiliation, and a huge question mark hanging over the rest of their career.
The addiction is real. The addiction to attention.
Caitlyn Clark, almost unanimous, -1. Angel Reese received one first place vote for Rookie of the Year.
It was a stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is.
A WNBA legend has been caught red-handed for plotting against Caitlyn Clark in the Rookie of the Year race. Until now, no one knew which veteran player had gone out of her way to bribe a journalist to vote against Clark. But now, she's been exposed with solid evidence. You might be feeling disappointed, especially if you've been cheering for her all season, believing she was a true icon. In reality, she's been harboring jealousy all along.
So we've got somebody out there who is casting votes for Angel Reese. I say somebody. I mean, I suppose it could have been one person who voted for Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year and another person who voted for Angel for MVP.
Why did this happen? Because Clark captured all the attention in just one season, something that took this legend years to achieve. Need a clue? Well, on the same day Caitlyn Clark secured the Rookie of the Year award, this so-called legend snagged the biggest WNBA title of the year. Got someone in mind? If you think you figured it out, brace yourself. This story runs much deeper than just a single bad vote.
That somebody is trolling Angel Reese because these are sports people, supposedly. These are members of the media. These are people who write about sports, who broadcast about sports, who...
And believe me, up until now, you've only heard the basic stats. For instance, Caitlyn Clark averaged an incredible 19.2 points per game, dished out 8.4 assists as if she were handing out candy, and grabbed 5.7 rebounds just to top it off. Sure, it all sounds impressive, but that's just scratching the surface. What's even more astonishing is that despite Clark dominating nearly every rookie statistic you can think of, she didn't receive a unanimous Rookie of the Year vote.
We were making the point, do you want to promote the league or not? And people like Andrea and others were resistant to that playing a role in somebody making the roster.
Nope. Instead of every single vote going to the clear choice, only just one solitary vote went to Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. This wasn't just a harmless fluke. It was a rogue move that sent shockwaves across the league, leaving fans shaking their heads and analysts scrambling to figure it out. Let's be honest, if any rookie deserved every vote, it was Caitlyn Clark. So why didn't she get it? What's the story behind that one odd vote?
I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
When the dust settled, Caitlyn Clark secured 66 out of 67 votes for the Rookie of the Year award. These votes came from a mix of 43 national sports writers and 24 local journalists across various WNBA markets. That's a lot of consensus among a wide range of people. So how did one stray vote slip in? This wasn't just someone trying to be a rebel or offering a different perspective. That lone vote felt like a sucker punch aimed directly at Caitlyn Clark's perfect season, a calculated move to ensure her record wouldn't be flawless. And that's when things start to get interesting. This situation wasn't merely about Angel Reese receiving an unexpected shout-out. It was about someone attempting to sabotage Caitlyn's perfect Rookie of the Year sweep. But who could it be? Definitely not Sheryl Swoopes, as she doesn't even have the authority to vote in this competition. So let's discard that theory. When it was revealed that the rogue vote came from journalist Cameron Duncan, everyone began asking the same question: why Reese? Sure, Reese had decent stats, but she wasn't even in the same league as Clark's record-breaking season. So why did Duncan choose to cast his vote for her? Word on the street is that Duncan wasn't acting alone. Rumor has it that WNBA superstar Aja Wilson had something to do with this. That's right, The same A'ja Wilson who has been dominating the league and racking up trophies. But why would a star like Wilson get involved in something as petty as one Rookie of the Year vote? Here's where things get wild. In 2024, A'ja Wilson became the first player since Cynthia Cooper in 1997 to win the MVP award unanimously. She received all 67 votes, every single one. This was a monumental achievement, making her the only player in modern WNBA history to accomplish a unanimous MVP win.
You know, the WNBA continues to kill the golden goose. Now, I must clarify something. A lot of you are hitting me up with, why hasn't the WNBA talked about their Rookie of the Year award since Caitlyn Clark, it's been released, is the Rookie of the Year? Well, they haven't announced any awards.
But then Caitlyn Clark entered the scene, rising through the ranks and threatening to overshadow Wilson's moment of glory. Suddenly, Wilson wasn't going to let a rookie waltz in and take away the one thing that set her apart, a perfect record. As Clark began accumulating Rookie of the Year votes, Wilson allegedly intervened, intent on ensuring that Caitlyn wouldn't achieve something she herself never did, unanimous Rookie of the Year honors. This is where the situation...
Finally, before we get to your questions, we have some news to announce.
Commissioner Kathy Engelberg, Commissioner of the WNBA, just announced that starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change.
The WNBA just dropped a major surprise during the playoffs, and it's all about the Caitlyn Clark effect. They're making some huge rule changes for 2025, but here's the big question. Is this too little, too late? Will these changes really make a difference? Clark's early exit from the playoffs left arenas half empty and tanked TV ratings. Now, the league's scrambling to patch things up, but will these new rules actually fix what's broken? Let's talk about Clark's impact. She didn't just play the game, she redefined it. With 62 records broken, packed arenas, and TV ratings hitting new highs, Clark and the Fever turned every game into a must-watch. Fans couldn't get enough.
Well, I knew the atmosphere was going to be electric when they announced Caitlyn's name in the dark and the fans went crazy.
Here's the reality. The second Clark was out, everything started to fall apart. Ratings plummeted by 80%, and some games started looking like ghost towns, with empty sections covered up to avoid the bad look on live TV. Let's be real. Are you even shocked? Clark was practically carrying the league, and now she's off the court and on the golf course. Can the WNBA make it without its star player? These new rule changes better deliver? Because right now, things aren't looking great.
Staying with the WNBA playoffs, let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
The WNBA is definitely in panic mode, ready to do whatever it takes to turn things around. But here's the surprising part. These new rules aren't just minor adjustments, they represent a complete overhaul that could either save or sink the league. The big question is, will these changes be enough to fill the gap left by Caitlyn Clark and boost their ratings? Or will the league keep slipping into irrelevance? Let's dive into these drastic measures. First off, they're extending the regular season from 40 to 44 games, with the introduction of a new team in 2025, the Golden State Valkyries. That means 4 more opportunities to catch your favorite team in action.
Getting to go to multiple arenas so that people that are watching at home can see this environment in a multitude of cities. It's amazing. I love it. The growth continues.
But that's not all. The finals are getting a makeover too. Starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals will shift from a best-of-5 format to a best-of-7 series. This change aims to create a more intense and exciting championship showdown.
Starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change to a best-of-7 series. Yes. And the format will be 2-2-1-1-1.
It's clear that the league believes more games will lead to more fans and increased revenue. Plus, they're making changes to the first round of the playoffs as well. The format is shifting to a 1-1-1 setup, which guarantees the lower-seeded team one home game.
Say for the fans, it's a benefit for your team. It's played well enough to get into the playoffs. So now that your fans will be able to see your team play at home during those playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember the Fever Sun series? The Indiana Fever couldn't return to play in front of their fans at Gainbridge because of all the drama in Games 1 and 2. It seems the league has finally realized that lower-seeded teams need to have the chance to play in front of their home crowd as well. Now, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is trying to pitch these changes as if they're going to save the league, claiming it's all about balancing the schedule. But let's be honest, it feels more like a frantic effort to keep things running without their star player.
With the increased attention this year, there's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can be.
Let's be honest for a moment. Are these changes truly tackling what fans care about? Sure, having more games looks good on paper, but what about the issues that really matter, like player safety and fair officiating? Those concerns seem to have been completely overlooked by Engelbert.
Yeah, and the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously not.
In a surprising move, ESPN is back in the news, this time for parting ways with one of its well-known personalities, Duncan. So, what happened? It all stems from Duncan's ongoing criticism of Caitlyn Clark, a rising star who's been making waves in the WNBA. Instead of celebrating Clark's impressive achievements, Duncan took a different route, one that ultimately cost her her job at ESPN.
Brianna Stewart's never going to win another championship, or, Nafisa Collier's better than Maya Moore. Like, instead of those kinds of hot takes, the hot takes solely and explicitly surround all of these black women versus Caitlyn Clark.
Amani Jones and Duncan have teamed up. They're coming at the 22-year-old white straight girl, Caitlyn Clark. Because, see, here's the deal. Because Caitlyn Clark can throw a ball into a basket deeper and better than anybody in the history of women's basketball, because Caitlyn Clark plays with a flair.
Before getting into the specifics, let's first break down how Duncan's actions ultimately led to her being let go from ESPN. It's no surprise that she faced backlash. Throwing out accusations without solid proof never sits well with the audience. Viewers quickly picked up on the bias, and it was only a matter of time before ESPN had to sever ties. Today, we're diving deep into the controversy, exploring why ESPN made such a bold decision and how Duncan's criticisms of Caitlyn Clark shifted into what many are calling a full-blown witch hunt. But there's more to this story than what's on the surface. So let's dig into all the details.
She has never been around these type of women. She's never been around, black women or women from different parts of the country. Like, she's sort of existed in this bubble.
Now, seriously, how arrogant is this? I mean, I hear all the time, don't judge me. Don't judge me by the color of the skin. Don't judge me. Really? Okay. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're sitting there and judging me. You're judging a woman you have no idea. None. Zero zip.
He points out the contradictions. While constructive criticism is one thing, Duncan's approach veered into personal attacks. It's a hard truth, but often that's the way it is. Duncan's comments hit a nerve, but not in the way she probably hoped. Instead of gaining support, she was met with immediate backlash. Fans, analysts, and even fellow commentators called out the lack of evidence behind her claims. Many questioned why she focused on Clark's so-called privilege instead of her undeniable skills on the court. Let's take a closer look at Dan Dokich's take on Duncan's actions and the jealousy he sensed among ESPN's commentators.
Everybody that I know still know what ESPN tells me. It's so ridiculous, these women. It's so ridiculous. There's a green room right next to where the makeup is. It's loud, it's stupid, it's asinine, it's absurd. And that's Duncan and her little cast of cronies. And all the little girls at ESPN, look, all they are is trying to make themselves, well, not better, more popular. And I don't care what they do. Duncan has lived in that bubble forever. Duncan is full of shit here.
His comments hit a nerve, but they echoed what a lot of viewers were already thinking. Criticism is fine, but when it feels driven by envy, it quickly loses its weight. Caitlyn Clark's entry into the WNBA has been nothing short of groundbreaking. Her stats speak for themselves, leading the league in points per game and bringing a fresh level of excitement to women's basketball. Viewership has jumped nearly 40% since her debut, with fans across the nation tuning in to see her in action. Yet, despite all this success, Duncan chose to focus on downplaying Clark's achievements. Let's revisit a moment many feel crossed the line in Duncan's critiques.
The second that you show love to anybody not named Caitlyn Clark, you are part of, some constituency that's trying to keep her contributions at a minimum, and you're racist, and we get a lot of that. It's no wonder that the W coverage is all Black women, because you're all in it together to try to keep her down. It's just, you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
It was a clear attempt to change the narrative, but viewers weren't buying it. When your arguments are fueled more by envy than actual evidence, it's a hard sell. The truth is, Caitlyn Clark's story isn't one of privilege. She's competed against athletes from all walks of life, facing obstacles both on and off the court. Many saw Duncan's take as an attempt to downplay Clark's achievements simply because there wasn't anything wrong with her game. While Duncan kept up her criticism, Clark was making headlines for all the right reasons. Let's take a look at how she dominated on the court, proving her critics wrong.
Caitlyn Clark has literally carried the sport on her back. She talks that yang. Resonates with Caitlyn Clark. It isn't her being white. It isn't her being straight. Her game resonates with people in basketball and across the country because she's got that edge. I heard her drop 3 F-bombs in one game sitting right there courtside. Her teammates had to hold her back. She's yelling at the coach. That's what Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan, you name it, that's what they do. Clark resonates. Nobody turning the set on and saying, I gotta watch who?
It's no wonder fans are drawn to Clark. She brings a new energy to the game that's been missing for quite some time. Analyst Dan Dockich didn't mince words when addressing the situation, calling out the obvious double standards. He suggested that Duncan's criticisms were fueled by something deeper, possibly resentment toward Clark's rapid rise to fame, rather than any valid critique of her. Angel Reese eventually found herself in serious trouble, facing a lawsuit from the Chicago Sky for using steroids. It seems the team had more up their sleeve than just taking jabs at Caitlyn Clark. They're dealing with bigger issues now. But really, Angel, steroids? It's like if there's a questionable move to be made, she's all in. Apparently, just playing the game the right way hasn't been cutting it for her.
The addiction is real. The addiction to attention is real.
Now, she's turning to drugs, because apparently playing real basketball in the WNBA is just too tough, especially when you're afraid of the competition. Let's be honest, this all boils down to her jealousy of rookie sensation Caitlyn Clark. Reese just couldn't handle being overshadowed, so naturally, steroids seemed like the solution to her. But this time, she's not getting off so easily. Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed queen of the WNBA, has been caught up in drama from the start. And now, with this steroid scandal, it's turned into a full-blown soap opera. The Chicago Sky decided to skip the usual warnings and went straight to filing a lawsuit. Rumor has it, they've officially accused Reese of cheating her way to the top.
She got terminated today from the Chicago Sky.
This kind of move is completely unheard of in the WNBA. No team has ever been this bold, this over the top. We're talking about a full-blown legal smackdown, accusing Angel of juicing her way through the season, especially when things got intense during key matchups. And if you think this is some wild conspiracy theory, think again. The Chicago Sky's lawsuit reads like a sports drama miniseries. They're saying Reese cheated, and because of it, they missed the playoffs. They're not holding back. They're flat out claiming she used her enhanced abilities to sabotage their shot at playoff glory.
You're not coming in and dominating our game.
Here's where things get interesting. Rumor has it that Reese, realizing she wasn't going to dominate the WNBA like she did in college, decided to take a shortcut, and allegedly, that shortcut was steroids. The timing? A bit too convenient, the allegations suggest Reese turned to steroids right when it became clear that pure talent wasn't enough to keep her on top. And who was the constant thorn in her side, outshining her at every opportunity? None other than Caitlyn Clark, the Iowa star who was stealing the spotlight without a trace of controversy.
I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlyn Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here.
While Reese was grappling with inconsistency and facing criticism, Clark was out there effortlessly breaking records. Clark didn't just set the WNBA rookie scoring record in 2024. She obliterated it, finishing the season with 761 points. No drama, no scandals, just solid hard work and talent. Every time Clark lit up the scoreboard, Reese's struggles became even more apparent. Social media had a field day, tearing Reese apart with constant comparisons between her and Clark. Let's just say those comparisons didn't do Reese any favors, as it became clear to everyone that she was more talk than game.
She just likes to call out haters and clap back at haters and say different things.
Let's be honest, this scandal doesn't just affect Angel Reese, it casts a significant shadow over the entire WNBA. The league has been working hard to expand its fan base and prove it can compete on a larger scale. However, with this steroid revelation, the league's reputation is now at stake. If the lawsuit goes in the Sky's favor, the WNBA will face a serious need for damage control to maintain the trust of both fans and sponsors.
You're not coming in and dominating our game.
But why did she feel the need to resort to this? The WNBA isn't college basketball. In the pros, the competition is much tougher, and the athletes are seasoned professionals. Reese quickly discovered that it's a whole different ballgame. While her rookie season wasn't bad by typical standards, she wasn't aiming for average. There were moments when she looked like the unstoppable powerhouse everyone expected her to be, but then she would follow those performances with disappointing outings. In her first 10 games of the 2024 season, she scored under 10 points 5 times. That's not the kind of stat line that silences critics. When expectations are sky high and you don't meet them, people start talking, and not in a good way. And that's when the steroid rumors began to surface.
But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA.